On top Edo 2020. For Edo, we Redi host the Sport Festival, local organizing committee Chairmo. We still dey wait for FG money support for us to kickstart proper. Edo State Deputy Governor, Right Honourable Comrade Philip Shaibu, when be the local organizing committee Chairmo, come talk for the press brief we hold for Government House, say the athletes must to follow the COVID-19 guidelines wey dey on ground, as them don reduce the number of athletes and officials wey go attend the National Sport Festival to 8,000 participants.
We are here this morning to brief you on the activities of the 20th National Sports Festival. You are all aware that there was a meeting between the state government and the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport, where the 20th National Sports Festival was reactivated to be hosted between the 2nd of April to 14th of April this year. The MOC decided that all athletes and officials from the 35 states and FCT participating in the National Sports Festival must take their COVID-19 test 72 hours before arriving for the tournament. He also agreed that all athletes and officials are to take COVID-19 vaccine at least 12 days before arrival for the tournament in Edo State. Another agreement was taken that the Games Village is to be opened from April 2nd for all athletes and officials. And for you to be admitted in this game village, both athletes and officials, the prerequisite is your COVID test, which will be 72 hours before departure, and also you must have your vaccine already taken 12 days before the tournament, including Edo State. The Torch of the Unity will arrive at Edo State April the 3rd, and we go around the 18 local governments in the state. It will arrive at Samuel Stadium, Membo, April 6th, where the governor will light it up. In line with COVID-19 protocol, the number of athletes and officials expected to participate in the games have been reduced from 14,000 to 8,000 participants. Officials of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 and Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, will arrive Benin City 4 days to the commencement of the festival to monitor compliance in line with COVID-19 protocols and guidelines. All non-pharmaceutical measures to limit the spread of COVID-19 will be provided for by both the federal government and state government at all the venues and camps during the tournament. Attendance at the game is strictly regulated, and the general public is advised to follow the activities across media platforms, including social platforms, as it will be streamed live in all our social platforms and other platforms that will be available. The state government and the ministry have agreed that the tagline still remains Edo 2020, despite the postponement occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic. The government and the ministry, Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports, have agreed that Nigeria contingent for the Olympic Games will be camped here in Edo State. These are the major highlights of the agreement we reached with the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport. And don't forget, we also agree and we trusted that in line with what led to the last postponement funds, we have also agreed that in line with what the minister has briefed us, the approval has been given by Mr. President, and we will be supported with resources prior to the tournament, hence the agreement for us to have this tournament. We are ready, we have always been ready as a state, but you know that before the postponement, we had a lot of discussion, consultation, and one of them was that when these games are postponed, there is always a cost, and federal government was ready to foot this bill. And you know the economic situation in this country, right? Before the tournament was postponed, we didn't get any support, financial support from federal government. Both facility and all the vendors that we paid before these games were postponed were solely funded by the state government. This time, federal government has promised, and we are hopeful. We don't have any reason to doubt Mr. President and our brother, the minister. And that is why we have agreed to host in anticipation of the resources from federal government. So we use this media also to appeal to Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport, federal government, to please release this fund at record time so that there won't be another postponement.
Professor Darlington Obaseki, CMD, University of Benin Teaching Hospital, when be the project manager, can give ogbonge light on why Edo dey safe to host the sports festival, as it be say the number of COVID-19 cases don't drop drastically for Edo.
We know that this game has been postponed like 2 or 3 times. The last one was sometime in February when the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport wanted it held around then. I, as a project manager, who also doubled as Chief Medical Director of University of Benin Teaching Hospital, as you well know, UBT has been in the forefront of the fight against COVID-19. I protested vehemently against the hosting of the games at that time because the numbers of COVID-positive patients in our facility and in the state was quite high then. And we felt that would be inopportune for us to host the game at that time, not just because of the increased transmission that was going to be possible then, but also because of the diversion of healthcare worker resources and other resources from critical care of patients to hosting the games. But since then, within the past 1 month, the numbers of new cases have drastically dropped. In fact, this morning I was in our isolation ward, which is usually 22 patients at any given time. As of this morning, there were just 3 positive patients there. So the outlook for COVID infection in Edo State is far better, more conducive for this to happen. When you juxtapose this against the advent of the vaccination campaign currently going on, the state government is very much committed to rapidly vaccinating a huge proportion of our citizens against this virus. When you put these 2 things together, then we can say that we can try to host this game. We do.
Transport, media, accommodation, and security committee also throw away ogbonge light for the festival matter.
Buses and the cars that are required for the Edo 2020, adequate arrangements have been made for all of them, and arrangements to be COVID-19 compliant have also been made to ensure that temperature readers and the 50% capacity are all observed throughout the Edo 2020. Also, arrangements for ease of mobility as traffic flow to ensure that we don't experience traffic jam throughout the Edo 2020. Arrangements have also been made for that, and within the next 2 weeks, announcements should be made concerning routes that we need to be circled out to ensure free flow of traffic throughout the period. So for transport committee, we can say we are very much ready for the festival.
We understand that the media is going to play a very critical role in this competition because of the same reason, COVID-19. People are not going to be free to come to the stadium. So to that extent, we have to ensure that the event is very well covered to give citizens and even people who are outside the state who will not be able to travel down for the festival, some access to what is happening at the games. To that extent, we're engaging both the contemporary media and the social media. We're going to be streaming all the events live on the state government handles. We're going to be doing live broadcasts from some television stations. We're going to have radio stations, accredited to cover the games. We're going to have journalists accredited to cover the games. We're going to have very robust and rounded media coverage because we understand that the media is going to intervene because of the lack of access to the competition, in respect of the guidelines for COVID-19. So for the media, we are very ready.
For Team Edo, we have a team of very enthusiastic athletes and officials ready for this competition. Prior to the postponement due to the pandemic, we had prepared very well, and we even had a closed camp where we had harmonization and intense training last year. But even up till this moment, we have continued to train. Since the announcement of the date for the 2nd of April, we have commenced very intense training and harmonization. And Your Excellency and the members of the public, we have a very robust team. We have started even assessing the various training venues, and the team is very happy about what they're training with now. Tomorrow, we are going to start our vaccination for our team, and 72 hours before we go into the Games Village on the 30th, we're going to also do a COVID test for the athletes and officials. So we're very ready, and we're ready for this festival, sir.
For the accommodation, we are ready. The hotels, we've been engaging with them since the new date was advised. We've gone around to sensitize. We're having meetings with them. We've done a reassessment, and we are ready for the games. Every protocol concerning COVID-19, we are putting in place. The clinic that will be at the family hotel is being prepared in partnership with the medical project team to make the event a successful and seamless one. Now for the Games Village, as we've been told earlier, other things that have been put in place in the Games Village is ready. Every aspect of the Games Village has been prepared. Places where the athletes will have their meals, the accommodation, and all of the COVID-19 protocol has also been provided within the accommodation for spacing and awareness. All of what that has been done.
This one na the tori wey TMC TV come give una. As for Edo, we don ready to host the sports festival. Local Organizing Committee Chairmo. My name na Chidima Anichukwu from Benin.